Omelette de fromage! Omelette de fromage!
Hello friends, my name is Lily and I'm the creative director here at Bubblegum Cartoons, and today I am not animating my usual web series. If you can tell, I've actually been invited by my friend Alex to do a collab on the Dexters reanimated project. If you guys have never really seen a reanimate video before, it's basically an episode of an old cartoon usually, chopped up into about 5-second bits and assigned to a myriad of different animators. That way, every couple seconds you'll see a brand new form of animation. My personal favorite of these, if you're googling them, is I love the Sailor Moon ones. Those ones are so pretty. I like those ones so much. They're really well done. And so with this one in particular, this is more linear than ones I've done before, because I've done this about twice before. So this means that you have to kind of make sure the characters look like they're supposed to be in the places they're supposed to be. It's just kind of in your style, so you can't just go completely crazy and abstract. It has to kind of be consistent with the other stories. That way there's like a little bit of a flow, a little bit of a grounding, even though you're going to be switching between styles. Yeah, like I mentioned, I've done this before. I did this with a Bohemian Rhapsody. We did the song Bohemian Rhapsody and all of us got 3-second, 5-second bit of it, and we all just animated whatever we wanted for that one, because Bohemian Rhapsody can get a little crazy. And ironically, yeah, I did cats with that too. I tend to animate a lot of cats if you didn't notice. Biggest one I did was definitely Bob's Burgers. If you guys didn't know, I actually have a whole video all about it. I helped animate the opening to Bob's Burgers premiere episode of season 8, and that was pretty cool. I helped do the opening of that one, and I just took the Bob's Burgers characters and what I knew about them, and I just kind of incorporated it in my own style and expressed them the way I saw them. So this is kind of like the same thing. My friend Alex is doing this. I'll leave the channel down below. Definitely please go watch this when it comes out. It's going to be amazing. You're gonna love it. It's gonna be so wacky. A lot of my friends from school are gonna be doing it, I think. So yeah, it's gonna be a good time. It's always a fun time when you see a mixed up animation. So definitely just Google or YouTube cartoon reanimate. So if I didn't explain yet, what I'm doing here is I'm reanimating this particular scene, which I played for you guys early on in the video today. So I'm reanimating them as cats, because that's super fun. Right here, I'm actually just kind of doing a shot-for-shot remake, just so it's as accurate as possible, but he's still super cute. He's still a cat. I wanted to incorporate a lot of how Dexter looks, so I added the swoop in his hair to like the swoopy curls on top of the kitty cat's head. I gave the cat glasses, and originally I was going to give him a little bell. His arms just kept getting too interfere. I did this in about 3 hours, by the way. It was a kind of a last minute project, so I'm really excited to be a part of it though. I think it'll be so great. So here you can see I'm making him kind of surprised. So I just extend those circles into ovals, and that kind of gives him a really expressive look. This is just so much fun. You can see here that I am using kind of a base for the Dexter cat, and he's gonna just be standing still by himself. His eyes, his body are all gonna stay the same, which is why he has stump arms. And on a layer on top of that, I'm gonna be animating his arms on ones, so that way it'll move independently, so I don't have to keep drawing the body over and over again. And I think even the tail might be holding still. I do give a little overlapping action to his hair. That way it just kind of gives a little extra bounce, a little extra care. And then on another layer on top of that, I'm going to be doing the lip sync. And the lip sync was exceedingly simple, because I literally just kind of interpreted his cat mouth to do exactly what his other mouth is doing. So Dexter's Lab is a fun show. If you guys know about it or you don't really know about it, you definitely know this episode. This is the Omelette du Fromage episode. And basically what this is Dexter is like making all his inventions, and he realizes he has a French test tomorrow. So what he does is he straps this machine to his head while he sleeps, because he had no time to study. And it's supposed to just insert French words into his brain. And then when he wakes up, he realizes all he can physically say is Omelette du Fromage. And all throughout the day, it just like always happens to get him in trouble, or it comes in exceedingly like handy in situations, which is really funny. I didn't watch much Dexter's Lab when I was growing up. I was more of a Powerpuff Girls kind of girl, even though I didn't get to watch much Cartoon Network at all, but it was just not really my thing. I liked more girly stuff or more action-packed stuff. Reanimating this was pretty incredible. It made me think about, because this came out in the late 90s, I think, back when I was a kiddo, if you can believe it. So this came out in the late 90s, and the shows were so much simpler back then. There's so much more just wacky. They did whatever they wanted, and it didn't necessarily have to make sense. They're completely illogical. I mean, more so than you'd think. Like, so the problem with this episode, like I stated, was that he used the machine, and all he can say is omelette du fromage. But towards the end of the video, he never solves it. We never get to see how he made himself stop saying that. I think he like blew up his house at the end, and it's just all these just like little endings that just taper off, and you just accept it, and you do, because it's just a simple cartoon. It was funny, it, you know, did its job. And I mean, nowadays people would be like, well, what's the conclusion? I need to know, like, how did he fix it? And you know, it's just, that was the idea for the episode, and he fixed it, and that's, you know, we'll just start at square one the next episode. And that was a pretty common thing, is you just wipe the slate from one episode to the next, and everything just goes back to normal. I remember that in like Totally Spies when I was a kid. They'd be dating a guy one episode, and then somehow they'd ruin it by the end of the episode just by, so the next episode they could just be dateless and find another guy, which sounds just like a horrible, you know, rolling a rock up a hill for eternity kind of thing. But anyway, yeah, cartoon shows were much simpler back then. And yeah, it was just so interesting watching this. I love the style. The shapes were incredible. I love Dexter's mouth, even just animating on the cat. Once I got that little like 1950s palette swoop from the nose to the mouth, that like brought out so much of his character. And I love the backgrounds are all mid-century modern or just very simple, suggestive shapes. And it was just really interesting to go back to a time, you know, like 20 years ago, what cartoons were like back then. And don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure these were hand-painted cells too. A lot of things like SpongeBob and things like that at the time were all hand-painted. So this was super fun. And like the great thing I could do about this was his little action with his tail. His tail could be really expressive. His ears could be really expressive. Like I said, I did the overlapping action in his hair. So tune in next week where we'll be doing part 2, and we'll be finishing up our omelette du fromage. Don't miss out. You're going to want to see it. And when it's released, please, please, please go watch Dexter's Reanimate. I will link it below. Thank you so much for watching. So there we go. His eyes are getting really, there we go. Here he is. This is omelette du fromage.
Omelette du fromage! Omelette du fromage!
Of course, shout out to our patrons. You guys are awesome. We got 3 of you guys on the pudding level and 1 of you on the strawberry mochi level. We appreciate you guys so much. If you guys are a patron on Patreon, go over to the page right now. We have a brand new newsletter. And shout out to Fan Art of the Week. This is so cute. I love it when you guys do traditional artwork. This is so adorable. I love it, love it, love it so much. Thank you so much for doing that. I really appreciate it. Alrighty guys, until next time, stay inspired.